Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's biweekly podcast here at Gentian Financial. It is great to be on the podcast with you all today. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to spend with us for a half hour or so. We're going to be talking about a topic that's something we pretty much all of us deal with almost every single day. And it's going to be credit scores, how to improve them, what kind of knocks them down a little bit from time to time, things that we can do to increase them, our everyday stuff that we're doing, and how do we go about making that and getting that highest credit score possible. So if we do need to go borrow money temporarily, longer term, whatever the case may be, that we get good rates, because credit scores and good interest rates when you're borrowing, they really go hand in hand. And so maybe a lot of you know that already. Maybe not, but there's this idea of credit utilization. There's the idea of starting credit early. We'll talk about it all today, and we have some great experts here on the call to talk about that. So, but as you guys know, we like to go big first. So let's go big. We begin in gratitude. I'll start off. Recently, we had a wonderful coach come in and talk to us about diaphragmatic breathing, aka belly breathing. Life gets hectic once in a while. Sometimes it's people in our lives. Sometimes it's our everyday schedule. Sometimes whatever the case is, and sometimes we need to really slow down and just so I'm going to do it right now with you guys. So it's inhaling through your nose for 4 seconds and breathing out through your mouth for 4 seconds. Think of like waves of the ocean, in, out. And if you do this long enough, we did it for 40 minutes during our session recently, and believe it or not, we almost all fell asleep. You get in such a relaxed stage, and you get in such a calm manner. Your posture changes, your stress reduces. So you don't have to do it for 40 minutes, of course. Maybe do it during this Zoom, this podcast. Maybe if credit scores are stressing you out, deep breaths, it'll help you out. It'll help you out. So anyways, that's my go big, because when we can feel the tension building inside. You can feel things that are building inside of you, and that's the moment where the breathing can really help for a minute or 2 or 5 minutes or whatever time you have to do it. But it's a really good pattern to get into. It really helps out, kind of calms you down, brings you back to the present mode, if you will, rather than saying or doing things that maybe we don't necessarily want to get out and let out of our mouths at that point in time. So anyways, help for me. Maybe it could help for you as well. So Ashley, how about yourself? What are you grateful for?
Thank you, Ken. I am just coming off of a great weekend spending time with my family. My parents live 6 hours away from my sisters and I, so every time we can all get together and have all of their grandkids or our cousins running around together and enjoying a beautiful fall day brings joy to my heart. So that's what I'm grateful for. Ken, thank you.
Ashley, very good. Family time. Gotta love that. Gotta love that. Julie, decent. How about yourself?
Thank you, Ken. Yes, I am grateful and just feeling very blessed. Our youngest son, Zach, and his wife, Paige, had their second child, little boy. Actually, he'll be a month tomorrow. So, Giovanni Douglas. So, everyone is doing well, healthy, and big sister Lainey is just having a blast being a big sister. So, we're just very proud of the boys, watching them become dads and watching their families grow. So, proud mama. So, that's what I'm grateful for.
Proud mama bear. That's exact. That's wonderful. Thank you, Julie. Thanks for sharing. Mike Mann, how about yourself?
Thanks, Ken. Grateful for Halloween decorations. So it's just really fun in the neighborhood around here. Whenever I take the dog for a walk in the morning, they're just everywhere, and everybody goes all out. We got skeletons coming out of half open garage doors. We got all sorts of stuff. Akira loves barking at them, especially the blow up ones that just suddenly appear overnight. But I don't know. This time of year is just absolutely wonderful. I just think it's so much fun that people get into that holiday spirit and celebrate in such strange and unique ways. So it's been fun.
Mike, we appreciate that. Pretty spooky time of year. Zach DeBoer, how about yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Ken. Grateful for the month of October because it's filled with very special birthdays. A lot of great friends. My mom's birthday was on Monday. I won't say the number, but is Medicare eligible now. So that's a big planning item for her financial advisor. My father-in-law's birthday is today, and my wife's birthday is next week, Wednesday. So a very special month of celebrating very important people to me, and also grateful for a Sunday fun day I had with Ryan Caro on Sunday. We did a 50-kilometer, about 31-mile run in the northern Kettles here. So that is a Sunday fun day in quotations because it's very type 2 fun. Not a lot of fun when you're going through it, but the results, the conversations in your own head, end up being really fun later on. So grateful for a teammate to push and also to inspire me to do that again. So very grateful for that opportunity.
Yeah, thank you, Zach. Very, very great. So you guys are doing a great job with the running. Keep it up. Building the endurance up for sure. And the mental part of it is probably the biggest part. So that's fantastic. Michael Birschbach, how about yourself?
Thank you, Ken. I'm grateful for quieter weekends. I'm almost embarrassed to admit this, but this past weekend I actually cleaned out my closet, and I think I'm gonna have to make two trips, two full carloads to go donate some clothes. So tackled that. Actually feel a little bit less stressed out, strangely enough, but just grateful for quieter weekends to be able to do stuff like that.
Very good, very good. It is Halloween, so hopefully, you got a couple skeletons out of the closet at that point in time. Sorry, that was appropriate at that point in time, So you have to have a little fun in these podcasts, and hopefully at home you're laughing along a little bit too. Hopefully we can put a smile on your face today as well, and also go through some great education about credit scores. I would ask Chris Doty to go big as well. I know that he has plenty to say about being grateful, and he's actually presenting right now at the Mequon Thiensville Community Foundation Philanthropy Summit. And it's really educating some of the community on how to give, if that's what their goal is, I believe it is, on how to give properly. Kind of like a lot of the stuff we talked to you about, qualified charitable distributions, donor advised funds, highly appreciated stock. And he's an expert in that area, and he's presenting in that area right now at the Mequon Thiensville Community Foundation Summit right now. So wonderful time for him in the community. And that's a really great thing that Chris is doing at this point in time. So, well, should we get into some credit scores? Let's talk credit scores today. What affects them, why it matters, and what I'll do is I'll kick it off with Mike Mann. How about yourself, Mike? What do you have to say on credit scores on this topic?
Thanks, Ken. I actually have a ton to say on this, but I need to save some material for everybody else, so I won't take all the thunder here.
Okay.
One of the things that I thought was super interesting and kind of goes right along with credit scores, I had a meeting with one of our representatives for actually an alternative investment. It's a fund that looks for significant technologies, opportunities in that regard. And just learning a little bit more about it. And something that was shared during that meeting was actually that credit cards are at the highest level of delinquencies in history. And I think like that's incredibly interesting. All these numbers, although that is an objective fact, it is a little bit of it could be a misnomer because of how many credit cards are out there, things like that. So anyways, I don't want to put too much into that. Not a great thing regardless. Credit delinquency is not a good thing for your credit score. Number one, because the most important piece to having a good credit score is making your payments on time. And something that I just want to suggest to everybody out there when it comes to improving your credit score and making sure, because all of our clients are pretty much able to make their payments and if not pay off credit cards in full over the course of each month. And credit cards are an incredibly important tool. Not only are they very secure, but you can get extra points by using them. At the bare minimum, please set up an automatic payment to cover that minimum charge. So basically, if for whatever reason you forget to go in, make that payment yourself, at least it gets swept up in your auto payments coming directly out of your checking, handling that, and you don't have to worry about that payment history becoming a problem. One of the second things that I want to bring up with this is the length of time that you have credit open for is another huge factor in credit scores. And that factor is one which people typically, when they see a credit card or they have a goal of paying it off, especially younger individuals who might get caught up in a little bit of credit card debt, they always want to pay this thing off and then close the account, just get rid of it. Well, I would suggest cutting up that card and throwing it away rather than closing the account, because you want to keep the length of time that you have been a borrower as long as possible. And so always cutting up those cards and not necessarily closing the accounts. The only cards that you want to look out for are charge cards, and those are just named as such because you actually have to pay an annual fee to be able to use those. No sense in paying 90, 100, even up to $400, $500 a month for some of them if you're never going to actually use the card. So if it's a free credit card and if you're not using it, just cut it up and allow that credit to be able to continue to add to the pool of your available credit, but also keep that line open as long as possible. So some high level stuff, just some quick pointers there. But anyways, back to you, Ken.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Yeah, you talked about some really important stuff there. So your payment history is about 35% of your FICO score. So every time you pay, you set these auto reminders up and you pay your bills on time, that really has a big factor in your overall score. 35% of your score is payment history. So every single late payment that we have, whether it's a day or two, it matters. It matters in our score. It can hurt us significantly. So Mike, you have a really good point about the auto pay and the reminders there. So also credit utilization, that's a fancy word by saying how much credit you have out there and how much are you using of it. Credit utilization score ratio makes up 30% of your overall FICO score. So 30%. So the first two pieces we're talking about, 65% of your score. It's a big part of it. So credit utilization basically says, and to Mike's point, it kind of goes hand in hand with length of time, is how much credit do you have out there and how much of it are you using? So let's say, for example, you have through various credit cards or one credit card, whatever you have, a $10,000 limit. Well, if you have $2,000 of a balance and you used it recently, you haven't paid it off just yet, but you will because you are diligent with your finances, right? That means that 2,000 of the 10,000, that's 20%. You have 20% utilization, if you will. And really great credit scores ideally are less than 30% when you take a look at your utilization. 30%. So $10,000 limit, using 3,000 of it or lower typically is a great thing. Shows the borrowers that you can pay off your credit cards. Also shows the borrowers that you're not necessarily always maxing it out and always spending to the top dollar every single month either, right? So it shows some discipline in what you're doing as well. So those two factors matter a lot. I'm sure there's other factors that we might talk about today as well. So I'll kind of pause there and I'll hand it over to Zach DeBoer. Zach, what do you have to say about credit scores?
It sounds great, Kenny, and I'll just pause for a brief second on credit scores and just give an update on markets just to continue the pace like we have for over the last webinars and over the last 5 years of doing this. So just to give you a brief update, the Dow Jones is up over 9% on the year. The S&P is almost 14, that's 13.78. And the NASDAQ, which is 50% weighted towards technology, is almost 18, 17.6% positive on the year. The Russell 2000 is where we've seen the most gains since our last few webinars, where the Russell 2000 tracks those smaller size companies, and that's right around 12% positive on the year. International emerging markets are still the two best performing asset classes, which is extremely interesting to see and shows the importance of diversification. International is up 21% and emerging markets up over 24.5%. So shows the importance of continuing to rebalance asset allocation, and especially in retirement when we're producing income over time, having those different asset classes are extremely important to help smooth out the retirement income ride, if you will. And also one really just interesting thing to note once again is just had a very substantial sell-off for a 1-day time period a few days ago, and then the next day it was one of the best days of the year once again. So oftentimes the best days follow the worst, and just shows another great example of a timeless piece of just don't guess or assume there are no future facts and stay true to your overall plan. So those are a few things behind the scenes that we're looking at. Kind of popping back into the credit score is just kind of why the credit score matters. For some of you, this is things you've gone through over your entire life, but maybe for teaching your kids and grandchildren, it's really important to show the importance of a credit score, where helps for loan approvals, interest rates on some of those cards that Mike mentioned, that if you have a higher credit score, you might qualify for a lower interest rate, rental applications for an apartment or where they're trying to live, potential insurance premiums, and also some employers even look at credit score, so employment opportunities there as well. And one thing that Peter brought up, which is such a great point and a great reminder, is that establishing credit early, if you can, for kids and grandkids is extremely important, where you could co-sign on a credit card, you could get a prepaid credit card, but establishing that credit early might help them with student loans, might help with them when they get their first rental apartment, where if they don't have any credit established previously, it might be very difficult starting out to get some of those things, or a car loan, or different items like that. So starting early, teaching how to use a credit card, like Mike said, they're great for points, but they can be very, very, very dangerous if you're not disciplined. So getting in the habit of, if I spend on this, I have to pay it off on a monthly basis. So those are a few items there I had for you, Ken.
Thank you, Zach. Really appreciate it. And the whole idea of starting early really is a great point. Usually, I don't think you can own a credit card before 18. I don't believe, but you can be an authorized user, which is a really key feature to all this. So I see Michael maybe smiling. I don't know if he's going to be talking about this or not, but I'll pause on that one. I think he's going to touch on it. If he doesn't, I'll come back to it all. But establishing our credit early is a really good idea. There's also ideas of soft pulls and hard pulls. You've heard this before. You've heard of, what affects your credit score. Well, we talked about payments and things of that nature, but it's also these idea of soft pulls on your credit. And what is that? There's also hard pulls that do affect your credit score. So you got to be really careful about how many hard pulls you have as far as that. So soft pulls, as I have a list in front of me here, is really when you check your own credit score. This one doesn't typically affect your credit score, if any, but when you check your credit score through like Credit Karma, Experian, that's a soft pull. That's a soft pull. When you get those 3 or 4 pre-approved credit cards in the mail every week, that some of you rip up. Hopefully you rip them up once in a while, right? It's one of those things that's a soft pull, because it's not really, you're already pre-approved. They're not really looking for your history on that. They're just saying, oh, you're pre-approved already. So that's a soft pull, if you will. Background check by employers, like Zach mentioned as well. Credit monitoring services. Again, these are all soft pulls on your credit. So there's also examples of hard pulls. Now, what are those? Applying for a credit card. If you're truly applying for a credit card and trying to get a new one, that's going to be a hard pull. It's going to affect your credit score and bring it down a little bit, because they're looking at what your history has been. Applying for loans, auto loans, personal loans, student loans, that's always an area that's going to be a hard pull, if you will. Debt consolidation loans, business loans, home equity lines of credit. That's very apropos to what we talk to you about on a frequent basis of short-term borrowing and things of that nature. Home equity lines of credit, some rental applications as well. So just be aware of that whole idea of hard pulls versus soft pulls and what really affects you. Sometimes when you're shopping around, you're rate shopping, if you will, that's probably going to be a hard pull. But if you do them in a certain time frame, to my knowledge, like 15 to 45 days, something like that, it only counts as like one hard pull, if you will, if you're rate shopping at different banks or credit unions or whatever the case may be. So just keep that in mind as well. So just some pieces on all that. Let's take a break from the credit score conversation. Michael, I'm going to bring you on a little bit here. Let's switch gears here. We're going to bring Ashley for the Ashley's acumen on the financials. And she's going to talk about, are you hearing this? Are you ready? Holiday shopping deals already. It almost sounds too early to talk about it. She has some great ideas for you. Ashley, take it away.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Ken. Yes, you are only 10 Fridays away from Christmas, believe it or not. So I think it's a great time to start thinking about your holiday shopping. Very large wholesale companies such as Walmart, Target, Amazon have already ran a really good amount of sales and deals, and they're actually rivaling the Black Friday numbers as well as sale prices that you may see. So again, just getting you thinking about your holiday shopping. Again, I know it seems soon, but if you want to avoid the stress, if you want to avoid the lines, if you also want to get in on some very good deals early, now is a great time to start making those lists and considering a budget, of course, so that you don't run that credit card over its limit, and of course can pay it off, as all of our gentlemen are talking about today. Just start thinking about it, start planning for it. You also want to just consider how much supply is on hand. When you wait till the last minute, obviously things can either sell out, or you may have to spend a lot of extra money on shipping costs to get it in time for the holidays. So just trying to get you in that thought process for holiday shopping. I know Wayfair, if you're thinking about decorations for Christmas, is currently running a really good online sale. Again, check out these major distributors, Costco, of course, too. It's been in the stores for months. So just check out those retailers, save some money this holiday season. And of course, you can spread out your expenses from now until Christmas. Back to you, Ken. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. It's hard to believe that we're talking about that already, but it is important. It is upon us, and a lot of traditions happen during these times as well. So looking forward to talking about that as well. So yes, back to the credit score. Yes, pay off those credit cards. If you buy something like Ashley's talking about, make sure you pay those off and don't close the credit cards down. You're learning a lot right now. So this is really great. So also 10% of your overall credit score has a lot to do with your mix. And so has a lot to do with installment credit, so which are basically loans, or revolving credit, which are credit cards, if you will. So some examples of revolving credit cards. So again, it shows how much you're utilizing, how much you're not. Installment loans also are a big piece of this as well. So auto loans, mortgage loans, something you pay a fixed amount pretty much over time, showing consistency and discipline and making sure those payments get paid, of course, right? So those are called installment loans. So your mix of loans also matters in your overall credit score as well. So Michael Birschbach, how about yourself on credits?
Thank you, Ken. I'll reiterate and add to some of the points as to how you can improve that credit score. So the single biggest factor I already mentioned, paying on time every time, setting up auto pay or a way to remind yourself to make those payments is a really easy way just to make sure that those do get tackled. Again, utilization rate. Keeping those balances low, less than 30% is considered good. Ideally, if you're under that 10% utilization rate, that's going to be looking very good as far as improving your credit score goes over time. Sometimes when I sign into where I have some of my credit cards, they actually ask to verify income and other information. And it seems awful nosy when you just sign in, log in, and see that. But ultimately, they're actually asking that just to make sure that you're still credit worthy for the amount that they're offering you on your credit limit. So if your income continues to rise and you answer that question, then your limit could potentially go up. So if your limit goes up and your spending stays the same, that utilization rate is going to go down for you. Another piece Ken mentioned, limiting those new credit applications. Those are going to knock down your score a few points over time. And a helpful tip that was actually mentioned earlier, I really want to drive this point home. Consider becoming an authorized user on a family member or a partner's well-managed credit card. Again, well-managed, because you're going to be tied to what's going on with this, whatever line of credit that is. Another piece of this is if you are trying to tackle debt and knock down some of that debt, there's a lot of factors that go into where you should be applying that cash flow over time. So typical advice is you're going to prioritize that highest interest rate debt first. But again, there's a lot of factors that can bring into this, because you may have a credit card that is on a temporary 0% interest rate. That right now may not be your highest interest rate debt, but once that period expires, there's more than likely going to be fewer other credit options that are in your arsenal that are as high as a rate of that. So at the same time, if you are trying to tackle some of those credit cards, make sure that you're balancing and building up your cash savings and emergency fund as well. If you're keeping that savings really, really low to knock down their credit cards and there's another surprise that comes up, typically we have to look to add back to that credit card balance, which is almost a revolving kind of issue as far as tackling that debt goes. So if you want to talk deeper on this, if you have questions about your situation, reach out to us. We'd be happy to speak with you. Thanks, Ken.
Michael, really appreciate it. I appreciate all the insight there. So I was talking to Michael recently. He's like, I don't understand why my credit's so low. And I was like, well, what do you mean? He goes, every time the collectors call, they say my payments have been outstanding. Just kidding. Just kidding. That's a joke. That's a funny joke. So, believe it or not, we have a wonderful suggestion or even a question. Janice, thank you very much for typing your question or your comments out. It's a really great one. Peter Nordenberg on our team is also thinking about this at the same moment. So Janice, you and Peter are together on this one. So yes, you can put a freeze on your credit. It's actually a really, really good point that you bring up here. So you can freeze your credit if you're not necessarily going to open up a new credit card at the moment or a loan or something like that. It really kind of protects yourself, if you will, before you need to actually do something. And there are ways to do short thaws, if you will. So if it's frozen, you can unthaw it for for a short time frame and really open up that credit card or that loan that you're considering at that point in time. So that's actually a great suggestion. Thank you, Janice and Peter, on that one. Appreciate that. So as far as specific suggestions on that one, we'll reach out to you directly and we'll be able to answer that for you there. So let's switch over to what's happening here at Gentian. Lots going on as usual. We love spending time with you. And Julie Decent, would you mind giving us a rundown of the Gentian happenings, please?
Certainly would love to. So actually starting a little bit later today, we have our October birthday luncheon. So the doors open at noon. So we're looking forward to celebrating the October birthdays with everybody. Then coming up at the end of the month, our fall gifting and tax workshops are going to be held. The first one, October 28th, which is a Tuesday in Appleton at the Bridgewood Resort. That starts at 11. And then the following day, October 29th, will be our Milwaukee workshop at Blue Mountain Country Club. And that begins at 9:30. So RSVPs are required and due by tomorrow. So if you'd like to join us, please do RSVP. Then coming up, some save the dates. November 12th is our November birthday club. And then our next Health and Wealth with Michelle Norris is Thursday, November 20th. And that topic is going to be immunity reset. So that starts at 10 o'clock. So there's always a lot of good information that Michelle provides to us. So, and then again, looking ahead to December already, December birthday club is December 3rd. And then we have our holiday movie event at the Marcus North Shore Cinema, which is Saturday, December 6th. So we will, there's two movie options, Zootopia 2 and The Man Who Invented Christmas. So those are always fun movies. So hopefully you can join us. We are limiting the tickets to 6 per family. So hopefully you can join us. All these RSVPs can be done through the happenings email on our website or just give our office a call. So hope to see you at some of these events. Back to you, Ken.
Julie, we really appreciate it. Thanks for all the happenings and for all of you that show up and spend time with us. We really appreciate you. And for those who can't, we understand as well. And we'll connect in our own ways if that's the case. So thanks to the whole team really for putting those together. You know, again, sometimes you see the work behind the scenes, sometimes you don't. And a great job by the team by putting those together. There's a lot of great feedback from you all saying these are great events. We love them. Tweak this, tweak that. And we do. We listen. And so we really appreciate spending time with you. We really appreciate the team on putting all those together. So next time you see a Gentian team member, give them a big thanks because there's a lot of effort and work that goes into all that. So with that being said, we're upon our time right now. We want to appreciate you for tuning in today. We also want to say thank you very much for your introductions that you've given us. You're so nicely to do so over the years. We really appreciate working with you, your families, your friends, people you care about. It's really how Gentian thrives and is built upon, if you will. So we want to thank you for that. We thank you for your trust and your continued trust in us. We appreciate planning with you. We appreciate being on the journey with you. If there's anything we can do for you, big or small, please let us know. We stand ready to help you. So thank you very much. We appreciate your time. And until next time, have a great day.